Every sport has its villains. Football had Eric Cantona flying into the stands with his kung fu kick. Boxing had Mike Tyson biting ears. But motorcycle racing? Motorcycle racing had Romano Fenati grabbing brake levers at 225 kilometers per hour. September 9th, 2018. Misano World Circuit, lap 21 of 27. In front of thousands of spectators and millions watching worldwide, Romano Fenati committed the most dangerous act in motorsport history. While traveling at race speed, he reached across and grabbed his rival's front brake lever, an action that could have killed Stefano Manzi instantly. But unlike Cantona's moment of madness that became football folklore, or Tyson's bite that shocked boxing, Fenati's brake grab wasn't just controversial, it was potentially lethal. This wasn't a push, a punch, or even a reckless tackle. This was an attempt to crash another rider at racing speed. This wasn't road rage. This wasn't a momentary lapse of judgment. This was the culmination of a career built on controversy, aggression, and incidents that had been escalating for years. A talent so immense, it could have made him a world champion. Destroyed by a temperament so volatile, it made him the most feared rider on any grid. The most dangerous rider of all time. The man who turned motorcycle racing into a contact sport. Romano Fenati was born with speed in his DNA. Growing up in Ascoli Piceno, a small town in central Italy, he discovered motorcycles early and showed immediate promise. By age 14, he was already making waves in Italian youth racing, displaying a raw talent that had scouts taking notice. His natural ability was undeniable. Fenati possessed that rare combination of fearlessness and feel that separates good riders from great ones. On the track, he could find speed where others couldn't, pulling off overtakes that seemed impossible, and maintaining pace that left experienced riders shaking their heads. But even in those early days, warning signs were emerging. Fenati's temperament was as explosive as his talent was immense. Arguments with mechanics, confrontations with officials, and aggressive riding that crossed the line from hard racing to dangerous behavior. The pattern was already establishing itself. His breakthrough came in 2012 when he made his Moto3 debut at just 16 years old. The racing world took notice immediately. Here was a teenager who could mix it with seasoned professionals, who showed no fear when diving down the inside of corners where others wouldn't dare. That rookie season yielded his first podium and established him as one of the sport's most promising talents. Teams started circling, recognizing that despite his young age and volatile reputation, Fenati had the raw speed to become a world champion. What nobody predicted was how his greatest strength, that fearless, uncompromising approach to competition, would ultimately become his greatest weakness. In 2014, the ultimate validation arrived. Valentino Rossi's VR46 team signed Romano Fenati for their Moto3 program. For any young Italian rider, joining Rossi's academy was like receiving a blessing from the Pope of motorcycle racing. The doctor himself saw something special in the teenager from Ascoli Piceno. The partnership started brilliantly. Fenati started the 2016 season with a pole position at Qatar, showcasing the speed that had made him such a coveted signing. Under VR46's guidance, his results improved dramatically, and championship contention became a realistic possibility. But Fenati's temperament continued to be a problem. Fenati had refused to move to Pesaro and fit in with the ethos of the VR46 Academy, showing early signs of the attitude problems that would define his career. The team's attempts to mold him into a professional were met with resistance and defiance. The breaking point came in Austria, 2016. An argument with the team became so heated that the Sky VR46 team sacked him on the spot. The incident had been the last straw, with Fenati already having been given 2 formal warnings before the Austrian GP. On 16th August, the VR46 team terminated their contract with Romano for the 2016 and 2017 seasons, stating behavioral issues in conflict with team policy as the reason behind the split. The decision shocked the paddock. Valentino Rossi, known for his patience and mentorship, had given up on a rider he'd personally selected. Sky VR46 team boss Pablo Nieto said the Italian sacking was more down to how he explained things in an aggressive manner. If Fenati couldn't make it work with the most understanding team in the paddock, what did that say about his future in the sport? After his VR46 departure, Fenati's career became a series of second chances that inevitably ended in disappointment. Much of that blamed on his volatile temper that often saw him vociferously berating mechanics and team personnel. Team after team took a chance on his obvious talent, only to discover that his speed came with baggage they couldn't handle. Arguments in the garage, confrontations with officials, and increasingly aggressive on-track behavior became Fenati's calling cards. The incidents piled up, aggressive riding that went beyond hard racing, moves that were clearly designed to intimidate rather than overtake, a growing reputation as someone who would do anything, cross any line, to get the result he wanted. Other riders began to complain. In the close-knit world of motorcycle racing, word spread quickly about Fenati's behavior. He was gaining a reputation as someone dangerous to race against, someone who couldn't be trusted to respect the unwritten rules that keep motorcycle racing relatively safe. But teams kept giving him chances because the speed was still there. On his day, Fenati could still produce moments of brilliance that reminded everyone why he'd been considered such a special talent. The problem was that those days were becoming rarer, and the bad days were getting worse. September 9th, 2018. The San Marino Grand Prix at Misano. Romano Fenati was riding for the Marinelli Snipers team in Moto2, trying to rebuild his career after yet another controversial season. What happened next would become the most infamous incident in motorcycle racing history. During a Moto2 race in September 2018, when he pulled alongside rival Stefano Manzi at speed, reached across and grabbed Manzi's front brake lever. The action was captured by onboard cameras and broadcast live to millions of viewers worldwide. For a few terrifying seconds, Manzi's bike wobbled as the sudden brake application threatened to throw him from his motorcycle at racing speed. Only luck and Manzi's skill prevented a catastrophic crash that could have been fatal. The reaction was immediate and universal. Fenati has been dropped by his Marinelli Snipers team following dangerous conduct, following the incident with fellow rider Stefano Manzi during the second-tier race. The irresponsible riding caused Manzi to wobble on his bike, but the outcome could have been disastrous. Fenati's team confirmed they were severing his contract for his unsporting, dangerous, and damaging conduct. With extreme regret, we have to note that his irresponsible act endangered the life of another rider and can't be tolerated. The FIM, motorcycle racing's governing body, acted swiftly. Fenati was banned from competition and faced potential criminal charges. Fenati could have intentionally physically harmed a rival rider, leading to legal proceedings that extended beyond the sporting world. Banned Moto2 rider Romano Fenati has released a statement expressing his regret over his now infamous attempt to grab rival Stefano Manzi's brake lever in a Misano race. But the damage was done. His career was effectively over. The brake grab incident sent shockwaves through the motorcycle racing community. Paul Espargaro is absolutely right about professionalism. "This incident is hugely damaging to the sport," wrote one commentator, capturing the sentiment of many in the paddock. Fellow riders were unanimous in their condemnation. In a sport where trust and respect are fundamental to survival, Fenati had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. The incident raised serious questions about safety protocols and the mechanisms in place to deal with dangerous riding. Romano Fenati burst onto the racing scene like a meteor, burning bright and lighting up Moto3. But bright lights burn fast, and now we are seeing the end of Fenati's short, mercurial career. The immediate consequences were severe. Banned from competition, dropped by his team, and facing legal action, Fenati found himself completely ostracized from the sport he'd once dominated. Sponsors withdrew their support, and potential team owners wanted nothing to do with him. But the broader impact was equally significant. The incident prompted rule changes and discussions about rider behavior that continue to this day. It became a watershed moment that forced the sport to confront how it dealt with aggression and dangerous conduct. After serving his ban, Fenati attempted what seemed impossible: a comeback from the most notorious incident in motorcycle racing history. Romano Fenati's troublemaker era culminated in that disgraceful brake lever grab, but there are lessons to be learned in what happened since. His return to racing was met with skepticism and outright hostility from many quarters. Fans who had once cheered his brilliance now saw him as a pariah. Fellow riders remained wary of competing against someone they fundamentally didn't trust. The redemption story seemed to be working briefly. Fenati showed flashes of his old speed, and more importantly, seemed to have matured. He kept his head down, avoided controversies, and focused purely on racing. For a moment, it appeared that the most dangerous rider in motorsport might have finally learned his lesson. But motorcycle racing has a long memory, and some actions cannot be forgiven. Despite his efforts to rebuild his reputation, teams remained reluctant to give him top-level opportunities. The brake grab had become his defining moment, overshadowing everything else he had achieved or might achieve. The attempted comeback highlighted a harsh truth about professional sport. While talent can open doors, character ultimately determines how long those doors remain open. Romano Fenati's career serves as the ultimate cautionary tale about wasted talent and the consequences of unchecked aggression. His natural ability was never in question. On pure speed, he belonged among the elite riders of his generation. But speed alone doesn't make a champion. The mental side of motorcycle racing, the discipline, professionalism, and respect for fellow competitors proved to be Fenati's undoing. His inability to control his temperament turned what should have been a championship-winning career into a series of missed opportunities and burned bridges. The brake grab incident became a watershed moment for motorcycle racing safety. It forced the sport to examine its protocols for dealing with dangerous riding and establish new precedents for punishment of on-track aggression. Fenati's story also highlights the responsibility that comes with racing motorcycles at the highest level. These machines are capable of incredible speeds, and the margin for error is virtually zero. When trust breaks down between competitors, the consequences can be fatal. His legacy is complex, a reminder of what can happen when immense talent is coupled with poor judgment and uncontrolled aggression. Romano Fenati's name will forever be associated with the most dangerous act in motorcycle racing history. The brake grab at Misano transcended sport, becoming a moment that defined how far competitive aggression can go before it becomes attempted harm. His story is ultimately a tragedy, not just for him, but for motorcycle racing itself. The sport lost a genuinely talented rider, someone who could have provided years of spectacular racing and championship battles. Instead, it gained a cautionary tale about the importance of character and professionalism. The young prodigy, who once seemed destined for world championship glory, became instead the man other riders didn't want to race against. Valentino Rossi, who had seen potential worth nurturing, was forced to give up on someone he'd tried to help. Today, Romano Fenati serves as the ultimate example of how talent without character leads to destruction. His career reminds us that in motorcycle racing, where lives hang in the balance at every corner, respect and trust aren't just nice to have, they're essential for survival. The most dangerous rider of all time, a legacy built not on victories, but on the moment when racing became something much darker. Romano Fenati, a name that will forever serve as a warning about what happens when talent and danger combine in the worst possible way.